What's up, guys? Total Control 871. Coming at you today with a financial report. Alright, so I'm here at Toys R Us Mays Landing in Hamilton Township. I spoke with a source close to the matter, the subject matter. If you have been following in the news, Toys R Us is very much indeed in its last and final days. Probably more accurate to say in its last and final hours. The source that I spoke with said that I believe the court is due, the bankruptcy court is due to render a type of decision this Thursday afternoon. This source did indeed state that they don't know if they'll even have a job next week. Basically, at any day when they go to report to work, they could very much well indeed be told, thank you for your service and goodbye. What we see here in Toys R Us, there is a great deal of merchandise on their showroom floor. I mean, the shelves are absolutely packed. All aisles fully loaded. Now, as somebody that used to work here, I can tell you that means that vendors have indeed been continuing to stock the store. They've obviously been getting shipments, although how much merchandise they've been receiving, I mean, that's probably part of the problem, meaning that nobody's shopping, nobody's buying the stuff off the shelf, and, that's why the shelves are so full. As far as liquidation goes, because I made, slight queries into liquidation, not that I'll be buying anything, but just out of my own curiosity's sake, with me being a once upon a time toy collector, couldn't help but wonder. They say they don't know. With this much merchandise being on the showroom floor, I myself was wondering, would they indeed liquidate to the public, or would they liquidate to an outlet center such as Ollie's or other mass buyout distribution centers? Well, they're not a distribution center, they're a liquidation center, so it probably might be more financially advantageous to Toys R Us to liquidate in mass to a liquidation place. We could talk a little bit about the merchandise themselves. You guys know that for a long time I've been very much indeed displeased with how DC and how Hollywood has been handling many of its characters. There's a great deal of communistic overtones coming out of Hollywood these days. What you might not be aware of is that in Action Comics number 900, Superman renounces his American citizenship and proclaims himself to be an asset to all the world. It was a huge leap in the wrong direction, as far as I'm concerned. People have been speculating for quite a while that Hollywood, has been very, very communistic. The color palette. I mean, I understand Batman gets a pass, basically, but the color palette, everything is very sapient. Even pictures of our supposed heroes are color corrected to have more color in these pictures, but actually what we see on screen in the movie is a very different story. Like, we see something here, and then up here, it's a different story. Now, you might be saying, well, what does color have to do with communism? It has to do with quite a bit, I won't veer off into a whole psychology color, how it affects you emotionally, how it's all a part of the mental conditioning of a communistic regime. Over in Pyongyang, they all wear slate gray and, you know, crap like that. Anyway, so also what has given rise to a lot of financial self-destruction, it would be greed. Corporations preying on other corporations. Let's see. Hasbro owns the Transformer line. And what happens here, now this I definitely know firsthand. Transformers, once upon a time, for any of you who are old enough to remember, they used to be partially metallic. And if you were to speak to any other reps from Hasbro, they would tell you that the material for the die casting became too expensive. Now, that's kind of quasi-hogwash. What happens is that the cost of your materials for making your product depends on the notoriety, the popularity of it. That means that the Chinese have no intention of sitting idle while you, an American corporation, become fantastically wealthy, and they themselves are not going to get a big old chunk of that pie. So if you want your product built in very traditional fashions using traditional materials, then be prepared to pay a fantastic price. It's why we see ridiculousness like this. This $100 so-called masterpiece. It's even spider wrap. It's got the alarming on it. And this is what they would call premium. And of course, 30 years ago, that would not be premium. That would probably be something like a $25 toy. So Hasbro gets preyed upon by corporate greed, and they end up having to pass those fantastic prices along to the consumer, and basically it's a whole chain reaction. It ends up being complete self-destruction. Manufacturers, foreign manufacturers, demand too much money, or it could just simply also be Hasbro wanting to be fantastically wealthy themselves, them self-sabotaging. They will earmark their profit margin to be, fill in the blank, and they can't attain that unless they get the Chinese manufacturers to do it for, this tiny bit of money. So it's just a lot of corporate greed. Corporate greed on the toy companies, manufacturers, materials, import, export, tariffs, a whole bunch of stuff. In the end, it just simply translates into financial self-destruction. It all caves in on itself. It can't hold up all that top-heavy management, top-heavy profit margin, I mean, I get it. Nobody wants to work for free, and, I get that. So, I can understand the concepts of capitalism, but this is just simply capitalism run amok. Capitalism that has just simply caused self-destruction. Alright, guys, that's it. That's the financial report. It's not looking good by week's end. My source is saying that they believe this store to be shuttered. So, if you want it, come get it. Total Control 871.